They're all saving one, or most of the Hampshire fielders are saving one. Somerset need one run. It's Edwards to Hildreth. He's there and bowls Hildreth, and he gets the run away through the onside, and Somerset have won. They've won the Royal London One Day Cup.
Good evening and hello there. You're listening to Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. This is the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd, and joining me this evening, I've got Steve Tancock, Dan Kingdom, and the voice of cricket on BBC Radio Somerset, Anthony Gibson. And, well, we're 3 games into the Vitality Blast campaign. 3 wins out of 3. Life is good. 3 pretty comprehensive wins. So should we leave it at that and catch up in a week's time? Nothing to moan about. Nothing to moan about. Shall we start with Rilee Rossouw, Anthony? What do you think of Rilee Rossouw? He's convinced you, is he?
I tell you one thing, he's a very nice young man. I interviewed him after the game at Canterbury. And always, if you've never interviewed a cricketer before, you've sort of imagined subconsciously that their personality is going to be a bit like the way they bat. You know, which in Rilee Rossouw's case is all guns blazing, and it wasn't at all. He was quiet, modest, pleasant, and talked very sensibly about the game. So yeah, I'm a bit of a Rilee Rossouw convert, I think. But he does hit the ball in the air an awful lot, and that does mean he's always liable to get out. Last night at Southampton, I was working with Kyle Abbott amongst others, and I said, you know, Somerset only need 124. They don't need to hit the ball in the air. And Kyle Abbott said, there's no way that Rilee Rossouw is not going to hit the ball in the air. And sure enough, good patience. And then he tried to hit it out the ground, mishit it, and got caught in the deep. But no, he's a good player. Good player.
Yeah, I had a bit of a busy day yesterday, listeners. I'm a trip down to Cornwall, Eden Project, all sorts of. We were self-catering caravans. So I had to go to Tesco. So to my shame, I fell asleep for the climax of the run chase. Just when we were going to go a bit Somerset and maybe balls it up, but we got over the line in the end. 3 from 3, Steve. What is there to moan about? Life is good. La vie est belle, as they say over La Manche.
Very good. It was weird because 10 overs into last night, I thought we are going to make it 3 out of 3 and 3 very similar wins. You know, put bat second, chase comfortably, and pick up a nice net run rate gain again. And then, as ever with Somerset, we had to make it a little bit harder for ourselves. But what has pleased me most has been the bowling. The fact that pretty well all the bowlers have contributed. So Lewis Gregory only bowled 2 overs, 2 for 8 last night. Obviously, Marchant had a rubbish start down in Canterbury and has then been stellar ever since. And I think it's that nice mix. And of course, as Dan patented, and now I've jumped on the bandwagon, Josh Davey watch is really good. And I tell you what, Dan, some of Josh Davey's catches in the last couple of games have been pretty special, haven't they? Because they've been those horrible thick edge swirly things down behind the bat. So yeah, really, really, really pleased. When you win like that and win comfortably, and as I said in the blog last night, it's not beyond the realms of possibility that by Friday we could have 1 foot in the knockout. Because if we win 2 more and we've got 10 points, you normally expect sort of 14 to 16 to get you into the knockout stage. That would be a very nice position to come in when we go back into Red Bull for a week.
Yeah, so what have we got? We got Sussex tomorrow. We got Glamorgan on Friday. And then that's it until Gloucester next Thursday? Or is there one in the middle of that?
No, it's Gloucester next Thursday is the one after that, yeah. Is there a championship round
little break
we're not involved in?
No, it's just if you look at the tables, we've played 3 and Surrey have only played 1, for example. So I think it's just the way the fixtures are falling. I'm just looking. There's games Saturday, Sunday. Saturday, Sunday, Monday. It's a disgrace, though. Sky are clearly following the ECB's agenda. Is our conspiracy theory for the night incoming. they got the IPL final again tonight, which was a thrilling game, not from what I saw and read about it. Whereas you've got some really good matchups on the T20 tonight. It just infuriates me.
Yeah, the reason for that is since the 100, the TV deal is obviously different. So Sky aren't obliged to show as many Blast games. I think in 2019, I think it was 36 Blast games that they showed. Whereas this year it's about half that. Obviously, they're still showing all the knockout matches as far as I'm aware, but there's a significant reduction in group stage matches that they show. So it means you get nights like tonight and last night, which are empty nights in terms of cricket, but they don't show anything. And I mean, obviously, I don't know how high the viewership is for Blast matches, but the ECB should be, on Sky's case saying, hang on, come on. Let's try and negotiate a few more games here, maximise the cricket that's on and, have something on every night. It just seems obvious.
It's the equivalent of a supermarket spending hundreds of pounds on barbecue charcoal at the moment and then leaving it all in the warehouse, isn't it? It's just bonkers, hundreds of thousands of pounds. So there can only be, we reduce the number of Blast games. Maybe it's a compliment to the live streams. But I think we all know the ECB veterans. I think they've actually had that much thought go into the decision they've made. But getting
if we didn't have the live streams, we were just having to, no disrespect to Anthony and his fellow radio commentators, but if you were just stuck listening to these games on the radio, it wouldn't be the same as watching them on the live streams or the TV. But being on the TV, you've just got that extra level of professionalism with the broadcast, haven't you? But no disrespect to any of the live streams, but they aren't quite where Sky are in terms of having all the super slow-mos and all the different angles. The catch last night with Lammonby and was it Van der Merwe he palmed it over to? Yeah. We'd have seen that about 7-8 different angles and super slow-mo, and we've been able to relive it in all its glory, but because it's just one camera, one angle on a live stream, it kind of just loses its.
But it's the promoting the game thing, isn't it? If you think about, I think back 20 years when Matthew was younger, we'd be sitting down this evening, you'd flick through the channels and go, oh look, Lancashire playing Nottinghamshire tonight. It's on Sky. Let's watch a bit of that, and that enabled me to get him into the game as much as him coming to watch me play. Now, we all know the live streams. We all know that Dan tweets the links to the live streams every day. But some casual person who might have a passing interest in cricket go, well, the football season's finally over. Let's see what cricket's on. They're going to go, there's no live cricket tonight. And, you've got to remember that people aren't as into it and dedicated as us. And those are the people you're looking to attract.
Yeah, I mean, when you're going through your Sky plan or your Virgin TV or whatever, the live, having live in the title of the programme, it just captures your interest a little bit more. I mean, I even found myself watching a bit of baseball the other day, Steve. It was
good stuff.
Just because it said
Who
live.
Was playing, Ian?
I don't know, but he was bowling a lot of full tosses, and the umpire wasn't calling him for throwing. Who was it?
Let's move on.
Who's got a bird on their
St. Louis
top?
Cardinals or the Baltimore Orioles?
I think it was St. Louis, and I can't remember who the other ones were. But they were about 46 for 5. And anyway, Anthony's just gone off to do a bit of Charlie, if you're wondering where he is. Of course, Charlie Taylor and the live is going to do Charlie. Speak to Charlie Taylor for the BBC Radio Somerset Cricket Show. So that's where he is for the moment.
It would have been the Milwaukee Brewers, Ian.
It was yes, it was. I remember that. Yeah, it was them.
Hey, how about that, Dan? That was even Dan's impressed, but I can see by the astonished look on his face not.
Sorry, I didn't actually hear what you said.
It's all right. I just flicked back through my baseball app and see who was playing at the weekend. That was all.
So if we're following the Somerset CCC logic, then the Milwaukee Brewers have got a pint of mineral water on their uniforms. Is that right?
Listen to the tumbleweed. Got me now. I don't know what they. That's a really good question. I think no, it's because Milwaukee's the home of So Lewis is the home of Busch Stadium at Anheuser-Busch, and Milwaukee's another one of the big American breweries, but I can't remember who. Budweiser people is St. Louis.
That sort of Bush. Anyway, that's enough about baseball. That's the baseball moratorium for tonight. We've done our 2 minutes on baseball. Should we talk about Martin de Lange silencing the doubters?
Me included.
Was it 4 for 9 he got on Sunday? Bowled really tidy again yesterday. But can the budget sustain 4 overseas players? Can we sustain having 2 overseas? Well, Marchant's not just for T20, he's for life at the moment. But yeah, I mean, I think we were all surprised when Peter Siddle wasn't named in the squad. So we knew Matt Renshaw was going to make way for Rilee Rossouw, but I mean, I think last week we all had Peter Siddle named in our squads, and yeah, hold Marchant rocks up. I suppose they're never going to have de Lange and Siddle in the same squad purely because it restricts your options if a non-overseas bowler gets injured. For example, you can't play both of them, so you have to just have your 2 overseas in the squad and kind of hope for the best. But yeah, pace, accuracy, nous.
He looked properly scary last night, didn't he? He he was aggressive as well. And we all said about him playing for that team in the Midlands that might have a rocket in its name in the other competition, and how he bowled in that. And I was like, this is what we really want from it. Anthony was saying at the start about Rilee Rossouw's nothing like what you expect as a player, and I think Marchant's like that as well, because he as soon as he hit the I think, who was it? The guy who got all the runs in the lower order for Hampshire.
James
Fuller, yeah. He hit him, didn't he, on the shoulder, and he sort of ran down and checked he was okay. I suspect there was some fast bowlers of old turning in their graves at the sight of that. But hey, if he can do that 2 games out of 3, you're going to accept the one that isn't quite so good, aren't you?
Yeah, Pete Trigo said on the live stream commentary for the Essex game that you want match winners in your team, and they consider Marchant a match winner, not someone who's just going to be consistent and bowl you 4 overs to 28 every single game. You've got to expect that he'll go for 40, 45 in one game, but he might do what he did against Essex, take 4 for nothing off his 3-4 overs, whatever it was, and that sort of player.
And in fairness, the problem at Canterbury, I think, was we ran out of options at the end because Lewis had bowled his overs and Ben Green had bowled his overs. So when Marchant had gone for 25 in 2, he had to bowl the last over. Whereas you'd like to have thought, it's not your night tonight, Marchant, and let it go. But Abell said, didn't he, in the Sky interview afterwards, because Sky covered that game, thankfully. He said that his head was spinning because captaining the first T20 game for a while. And I suspect that's one of the things they focused on, because if you notice the last 2 games, they've had overs in hand from the likes of Gregory or Green when they finished. Obviously, Davey and de Lange are the 2 they're going to prefer to bowl out most of the times. So, happy days.
Absolutely. So, yes, Somerset are top of the South Group with Vitality Blast. Play 3, 136 points, a net run rate of 1.419, which is 0.5, 0.6 and a bit higher than Middlesexes, who have also played 3-1-3 with 6. And then, let's not go through the rest of the table because it is early doors, and T20 cricket, especially where the tables can change, games can change on a sixpence, and I suspect there will be sides having a run of form a bit later on who will come storming up that table. So I'm trying to multitask here. I'm trying to just go back to the card for Sunday's game, and I can't find it. This is thrilling listening. It was Sunday the 29th of May. Where is it?
It was.
There we go.
Oh, it's right down the
Essex
bottom.
139 for 9.
Yeah.
Pepper 37, Critchley 60. Batted really well, didn't he? Really well. And nobody else got into double figures apart from Sam's got 14. De Lange 4 for 9 off 3 overs, including a double wicket maiden, I think, and Josh 3 for 31. But Ben Green was the one who got tonked, wasn't he? He only bowled 1 over and went for 14. And then in reply, Will Smead and Rilee 58 and 67, 12 sixes. And I know it's Taunton, but it was a bit of a run fest.
1 year on top flight of the retirement flats again. He likes peppering those. Yeah, so that Essex game, but a reduced. No, we didn't. We had an increased target. So the rain came when Essex had, was it 2 overs to go, and their innings would have been reduced to 19. 3 overs, was it? Sorry.
Yes.
See, one thing I don't get about T20 is we've got the lights. Why don't they just, if it's only like a couple of overs, why don't they just play on? I know they've got cut-off times and whatnot, but it would just make sense to go.
Because I had a train to catch. So if they had gone on too much longer, I'd have missed that. I would have had to miss the end of the match. That's why.
Oh, so it's your name is it?
He sent an email. He sent an email, yeah.
Exactly.
Dear Rob Key, these are the list of the trains I'll be catching back to Birmingham from Taunton this year. Please ensure that all games at Taunton are managed so that they do not go past these particular times. Yours, DK.
Exactly that. Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
I think the other thing is they have to be consistent. You know, they have to apply the same rules when weather intervenes to every game, regardless of how much time theoretically there may be available.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did try and sneak the Duckworth-Lewis conversation in.
I missed it. What a shame.
Oh, well, we're just a little bit through. We've had a little chat about Marchant de Lange and the previous 2 games, but yeah, Steve is going to come off his long run and talk about Duckworth-Lewis, which I know he's been waiting to do since Sunday.
So Duckworth and Lewis actually were statisticians, mathematicians at what was Bristol Poly, now the University of West of England. And if you remember, those of you who can, or you look back to the John Player League days, what used to happen is if it was rain, they would do it by average scoring rates, which was really unfair because your team number 1 might have batted 40 overs and scored 160. Team number 2 had 5 or 10 overs to bat to get 4 runs and over. And they had all their wickets to do it in, and that's the key. So Duckworth-Lewis basically did a huge data crunching exercise, and it's based on resources. So the whole complicated formula is designed to say, in simple terms, if you made 160 in 40 and 20 overs, let's say, to make it relevant, for 5, then the other team only has 10 overs to bat. They have effectively got twice the resources because they've got 10 wickets to last 10 overs. So that's why it's not 80, it might be 120, for example. And then if you get these games like we did on Sunday, where you get a rain interruption and then it resumes, you have even more complicated. There is a website, probably a number of websites, where you can actually put the numbers in and do the calculation. But it's as simple as that. And what prompted it, those of you who remember, was the 92 World Cup in Australia, semi-final, when South Africa, it rained and South Africa ended up having to get something ridiculous like 22 off and over.
No, it was 22 off a ball.
Off a ball, sorry. Because of the way.
I think they needed like 23 off 7 balls.
Yeah.
And then they went off for however long it was and came back and it was 22 off a ball. So it went from being really, really tough. I mean, 23 off and over back in those days.
That was a lot in those days.
Impossible, to actually impossible.
So it's just that whole concept put simply, and it at its essence, it's very simple. It's about, obviously, if you've got 10 wickets and are only batting 10 overs, you can go gung-ho a lot more than if you've got 10 wickets for 15 or 20 overs. So that's the principle. And that's why if you're in the ground and look at the scoreboard and a wicket falls, you'll see the Duckworth-Lewis par score can shift quite markedly, which obviously I've been to games like that where it's quite exciting then, because your team's ahead, stroke behind, and then a wicket falls and it completely flips.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty fair on Sunday, the Duckworth-Lewis, because if Essex were batting as if, on the assumption that they'd be facing 20 overs. It turned out to be only 18. If they'd known at the start that it was going to be 18, they'd have gone a bit harder. But they'd lost a lot of wickets. So I thought that was about right.
Mm.
I think in T20 though, it always does seem to favour the side batting second a lot more than the side batting first, purely because if it's going to be rain reduced, then it's going to be less than 20 overs. And the way that you can score in T20 cricket these days, you don't even have to go gung ho really to score at 12, 13 and over. The guys these days are perfectly capable of doing it, playing what you might term as orthodox T20 cricket shots, and not trying to slog it out the park. So
I think the real difference is that if you're batting second, you know what you've got to do. Whereas if you're batting first and there's rain around, you don't know, whether to expect the rain and go really hard in order to set a tough Duckworth-Lewis, or just to play, the normal way on the assumption you're going to get 20 overs. Whereas, the side batting second, I was really pleased last night, for example, when Tom Abell won the toss. A, Somerset preferred to chase, but B, Somerset would know exactly what they've got to do in the event that there was a rain interruption. But I don't think. I think on balance, it's there've been one or two silly ones, but by and large, I think it's worked pretty well.
Yeah.
I think another factor is the innings that the rain interrupts. I think batting first when there's rain, batting first in a rain-affected match works better if that first innings is not interrupted by rain. If the second innings is then interrupted by rain, you can potentially, you would have preferred to bat first, I think. I think a good example is 2019, Somerset Hampshire at the Rose Bowl. We batted first and had our full 20 overs and got a big score. And then Hampshire had their innings interrupted a couple of times. They lost, they had to get a big score. They had to they had to start very well, and they didn't. They lost wickets because they knew they needed a high scoring rate, to get ahead of the par score. And the interruptions didn't help them, and ultimately we won comfortably on Duckworth-Lewis when the rain eventually curtailed the match.
Yeah.
Rightio. So there is just one little chink in the bodywork, if you like, of these first three matches has been the form of Tom Banton at the top of the order. I've obviously seen him on the live streams, but I've not sort of seen him in person. Does he look like his old self? He said
not quite, but he seemed to be playing himself into a bit of form last night.
Hmm.
I mean,
that shot he got off the mark with was gorgeous, wasn't it? That little
absolutely.
push behind point that flew.
I mean, it was a little bit easier because he didn't have to go hard from the start. So they were only chasing 124, and he just seemed to be settling into a bit of a groove, and I think he'll come good, but he is still a bit conflicted, because his sort of hallmark shot, the pickup with that wristy pick with the fast hands that carries the ball over the top of the Andy Carrick pavilion. It's got him out a good few times, and you can almost sense him hesitating before he plays it. But I think he'll come good, and I think he and Smead are potentially a very, very devastating opening partnership. If they both come off together, the ball's going to be flying everywhere. Great to watch.
Do you think he's sort of caught between two stools, because he said on interview that he's trying to give himself a few more balls at the top of the order to play himself in. It just looks to me like he's just, I don't know, just not playing see-ball, hit ball.
No, he's not. I mean, there's a bit of the sort of Chris Gale about him. In Chris Gale who will play a lot of dot balls and then suddenly whack a huge shot. I think Tom plays best when he's working it around.
Yeah, Gale was just so relaxed though, and so confident that he knew that even if he faced 6, 7, 8 dot balls at the start and didn't score, he just had the confidence, the swagger to just this is me, I'm in control, and then he'd use at those dot balls and then he'd just go bang and then just start smashing it everywhere. I just wonder if Banton is doing it because he's like forcing himself to do it, if that makes sense. He's trying to think,
No,
I'm doing this because it will make me a better player, rather than just doing it because it's something that is coming naturally. I don't know. It just.
I think he's just hesitating to play the big shot. He's hesitating to play the big shot. I just think he, instead of blocking, block, smash, he just do what he did last night. So
Cool.
Work the ball around, pick up singles. There were plenty of singles on offer, even in the power play, because they're very quick between the wickets, and they ran very well last.
Oh, the internet in Langport must be going
rather
dodgy.
than, sorry? I'm going dodgy.
It sounded like the internet in Langport's going a bit dodgy. Have you put 50p in the meter?
Sorry. Should be all right. I can see you all right. But anyway, I think Tom Banton is coming back to form.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Steve, Dan? What do you make a Tom start to the Blast this year?
I've been really impressed with him in both forms. I thought, although you look in the book and he hasn't got that many, I thought he shaped quite well in the Championship. Was clearly trying really hard. Carl Abbott mentioned that on commentary last night and was saying he was quite impressed with how Banton gutsed it out in that game a couple of weeks ago that we've all chosen to forget now. So I'm not worried. I think it's a bit like he's going to break out, and my goodness, when he breaks out, it's going to be a lot of fun. I just hope he does it for us and doesn't wait till later in the season for the other lot. But two batsmen like that at the top of the order, your worry is that you lose two quick wickets, and we've been good in getting quick wickets when we've been bowling so far. But at the moment, one's coming off and the other one's doing a bit but not. And as long as that keeps going, that's really what you ask for. And I think they've got the batting order pretty much spot on now, because you've got Rossouw comes in and just only has one way to play. But then you've got Abell and Lammonby, who both can knock it around if needed and can go up through the gears quite quickly if needed. And, you are going to get all the top 5, top 6 are going to get a run of 2 or 3 games where they probably don't get 10 in total. But they're all good enough, they'll all win you a game or two. So I'm not at all worried. If we're talking about him in 2 weeks' time, and we're through the first phase of the T20s and he's not had many runs, I'm still not going to be that worried, because I think he looks a better version of himself than he did last year. He looks a lot more like he's enjoying his cricket again, which clearly all the bubbles and COVID implications knocked out of him. So, and also just to quickly say, the 2 Aussies that were in the Hampshire side last night were both big stars of the Big Bash. McDermott was the leading run scorer, I think, for most of the competition, and was making 90s and 100s for fun. And the quick, whose name I've forgotten as well now, was quite a serious player last year.
Nathan Ellis.
Yeah, so
he started badly but actually by the end he went for 17 in his first over. But when he came back later on, he bowled really well. Good bowler.
So we got Sussex tomorrow. I presume we're going to keep the side unchanged unless there's any injuries.
Yeah, I can't imagine there'll be any changes.
No. But the big surprise for me was Wednesday night, or last Wednesday night, to see Tom Lammonby with the new ball in his hand. I don't think any of us saw that one coming. That's obviously been planned for a little while, because you don't just kind of rock up on the day and say, right, who fancies opening the bowl in a T20 game. This is all, all these plans and preparations would have been carried out a long time before. So, yeah, and to be fair, it's worked pretty well. But yeah,
worked very well.
Didn't see that one coming.
Yeah. He's
really
very well.
good at bowling like Josh Davey, that pace-off stuff early on, isn't he? Which seems to, has worked very well for us.
He's bowled a very good tight line as well. He's bowled straight. He's bowled a sort of hard length, good, a sort of full, good length, and he's varied his pace nicely. And he swung it last night more than any of the other bowlers. And you can't argue with his figures. And Kyle Abbott wanted to know why he hadn't been bowling in the championship match. He was so impressed with him, and of course it was because he had a foot injury that we didn't know about at the time. But no, the bowling has been a revelation, quite honestly, absolute revelation. I mean, they haven't been bowling down the leg side. They haven't, by and large, been bowling short and wide. They've been keeping it pitched up. They've been bowling straight, making the batsman make the running. Forcing the batsman into taking risks if they want to score quick runs, and that's when you get the wickets. And it's been the wickets that we picked up, particularly in the power play, that have sort of paved the way for keeping the total down and giving the batters a manageable total to chase. It's been really impressive.
Yeah, well, they say if you lose 3 wickets in the power play, it's virtually impossible to win from there. The stats, it's something like 95% or something. I can see Dan getting onto Google.
No, I don't know.
It's pretty difficult to win your way back from losing 3 wickets in that power play. So busy today, and the Wi-Fi was so bad here, I didn't get round to asking for any listeners' questions, so we'll have to pop those on the back burner for next week. Tom Abell was just going about his continual improvement as a T20 batsman. Beautiful innings down at Canterbury on the opening night. They let the rate creep up, him and Rossouw, but they kind of let it creep up in a controlled way. Because they knew that once it got to sort of 10 or 11, that's when they needed to go bang, and they had the game to do that. So yeah, absolutely impressed with Tom. Do we think? I mean, it's difficult for him to get into that England white ball side, but do you think possibly that is a more viable route for him, where the 3 lines are getting?
Well, the stat that seems to stand out is his strike rate, because they mentioned, Anthony's colleagues mentioned that on commentary last night. Him and Lammers have phenomenal strike rates, and you know why. I mean, that partnership they had against Gloucestershire last year, that phenomenal recovery, where they both rotate the strike so well. It's not, we were saying earlier about 4-6 ... It's never that, is it? They find they're so aware at gliding the ball into the gaps. And I think the thing I thought last night was our ground fielding was very good and Hampshire's wasn't. And that's the pressure that the likes of, all of them, Smead, Banton, maybe not Rossouw to such an extent, Abell, Lammonby. When you're,
they like hiding Rossouw in the field, don't they? He had a couple of ricks last night, I noticed.
Yeah, he did. It's very strange because Kyle Abbott said he was regarded as a really good fielder at Hampshire, but he's been down at third man, fine leg, long on, and even there he was fumbling it last night. Mind it was difficult last night. It was very greasy. It's quite a lot of grass on the outfield. It was tough fielding, but Somerset's fielding has been one of the hallmarks of the side for several seasons, for a good many seasons now, and it's certainly not getting any worse.
I don't think we put a foot wrong in these first 3 games, have we? Can't remember us dropping a catch.
No.
Not too many fumbles.
We've held those sort of 80% chances as well. The Abell's one running back, as I said earlier, the Josh Davey ones. Ben Green's made taking catches in the outfield look like shelling peas, hasn't he? It's been very impressive.
Lewis Goldsworthy at Canterbury. Yeah. What a spectacular catch that was.
Yeah.
And Lammonby and Smead last night as well. Last ball of the innings.
Yeah.
Was it last ball? Near the end.
Well, Lammonby a roll off, wasn't it?
Smead.
Smead.
No, Smead. We briefly mentioned
that ball was way gone over the boundary when he clawed it back, wasn't it? It wasn't just.
I was a bit surprised that nobody queried it because it was a long way away from where I was, but it looked borderline to me. But was it Fuller, wasn't it? And he just walked off. And good for him. But it was a brilliant piece of fielding.
Definitely one for the shortlist for Sparkling Cider Moment of the Year. Have we had one of those? Have we had one of those before? I can't remember us having one of those sort of combination relay boundary catches.
No. I was thinking that. I don't remember.
Jamie Overton did one a couple of years ago, didn't he? Where he kind of palmed it up and stepped back in himself.
Yeah, Jamie Overton. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
That would have been great for Anthony's commentary cabin because it was right in front of where that now is.
And if you'd been up in the posh seats, Gibbo, you wouldn't have been able to see it because it had been right.
Yeah, well, on first Sunday against Essex, I was on the Thatcher's terrace, and fantastic view, absolutely brilliant, and it just makes such a difference. You have no idea how much more enjoyable it is to commentate from a good vantage point than it is when you're peering up to try and see what the hell's going on the far side of the ground.
Radio Somerset Pod.
Rumour has it, though, that Spencer was running up and downstairs with oxygen cylinders for the pair of them because they were so high compared to where they've been this season. Well, not Mark, obviously, too. It was his first game, but Anthony, they were like, yeah, are you all right up at that altitude, Anthony, or do you need any assistance? So,
yeah. It was great, really great.
I think the thing I love, I love listening to the commentary, but Mark is so laconic and such a good foil for Anthony. And when the moments that I laugh out loud when I'm listening are when Anthony says, oh, something tremendous has happened, and his voice really brings the drama, and then Mark says, well, he shouldn't have really bowled it there, should he? That's a poor delivery. And you just feel like he's got this huge pin and he's constantly piercing Anthony's balloons. So it's so funny. So funny.
He reads the game. He reads the game so well, though, Mark. He's a joy to work with.
And of course, just mentioned the Essex game. That was part of a double header with Western Storm, who beat. Sorry, Dan. There's so many sides.
Sunrisers. I know all about it. I did the commentary. Yes.
Yeah. So 40-odd run victory over the Sunrisers. Sophie Duff got a few runs.
78.
Yeah, she batted really, really well. It's the first game of women's cricket I've actually watched all the way through. And certainly the first game of women's cricket I've commentated.
That's good. As you were commentating, I'm glad you watched it for the whole game. If you were commentating on it.
Well, I had a very good summariser in Georgie Heath, who knows a lot about women's cricket. So that made it easier. But it was quite difficult, given the vantage point. A whole lot of cricketers who I'd never seen in my life before, trying to pick them out. But I was really impressed with the standard of play, particularly. There were one or two missed fields and one or two catches went down, but some of the fielding was excellent. Heather Knight took an absolutely stunning catch. One of the best catches, leaping high and taking it one-handed above her head at mid-on, and Sophie Luff batted beautifully.
So where does that put the Western?
She can really hit it. Sorry?
I think you're back, Gibbo. Sorry, I don't know whether it's my crappy caravan park Wi-Fi or Lamport Wi-Fi. I don't know. One of us is stalled anyway. But Dan, how does that put Western Storm for qualification in not the Kia Super League, the Charlotte Edwards Cup?
Yeah, so Central Sparks are on 13 points, South East Stars 12, Storm are on 9, Sunrisers on 0. It's 4 points for a win, and you can also get a bonus point for winning with a run rate 1.25 times the opposition. So you can get 4 or 5 points for a win, basically. So Storm basically need to win their last 2 games, which will be tough. Stars and Sparks are 2 of the best sides in the country. If they win them, they should be through, I'd have thought. Just trying to do the maths quickly, I'm pretty sure they would be through. There'd be no way that both of them could catch them. That'd be great. But it's 2 tough tests coming up. So it's tomorrow, isn't it? Their next game away to
Bristol, isn't it?
Bristol, yeah. There's a double header on TV actually, which is good. It's on Sky. It's around 2:30 start, I think. And then they finish away at New Road against Central Sparks on Saturday. It'd be great to see them reach finals day. They just missed out last year, and they were gutted. If they could do it this year, it'd be great.
Outside chance, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it will be difficult. Yeah, both those sides they're going to play are very good.
Just checking the club website to see if there's anything that we haven't talked about. The first 500 punters through the door get a free pint of Thatcher's tomorrow night, Anthony.
Oh,
So
well, there.
you'll be able to use your press pass to
I'm-
just go
I'm
in one
drinking-
gate.
I'm drinking my prize-winning cider, as I hope. This is what I'm entering to in the British Cider Championships at the Barton West, which starts on Thursday.
I thought you were the judge at the cider category
No,
at the Bath and West Festival.
I'm not judging this year, so somebody else, and it's all blind tasting as well, so that nobody knows it's my cider, but it's not bad.
Oh, I'll have to you have to bring a couple of bottles along next time. I'm on Inches medium apple cider tonight.
That's good
It's
stuff
not
as
too
well.
bad. Not too bad.
There is one more thing to
nothing
mention.
really-
Today the squad was named for the Netherlands ODI series, but no Somerset players are in there, which I was surprised by. I thought Bantam would at least be a search. But yeah, I mean, it's great for the Blast for sure. Yeah, I'm disappointed for Bantam though. I thought he'd be in there. He did well in the T20s in the West Indies, didn't he, earlier this year? But obviously this is ODI, so it's different. But I mean, so they've gone with Phil Salt over him effectively. I think that's the spot.
They've got David Payne as well, haven't they?
Yeah.
Sorry?
Yeah. David Payne's going.
Payne,
Yeah,
Gloucester's.
he is. Yeah, and Bryden
I
Cars.
bet Gloucestershire are really pleased about that.
Yeah.
Hardly played a game from all season. He comes back and he goes straight up in the England squad.
To a completely pointless
When
tour.
are they middle of June, those ODIs?
Yeah, they're quite soon.
Yeah. So
In the middle of the back.
17th, 19th, and 22nd, Ian.
there we are.
Oh, well,
Alex
okay,
Hales
you
would be ideal for it.
We're
I thought
playing
Alex
them.
Hales would be an ideal choice for an ODI trip to the Netherlands, but maybe not.
Worth also mentioning that, we were talking about Tom Abell just now, how close he possibly is to the England side. He probably is still quite far away. If you look at the players that have been left out of this tour, Banton, Vince, Billings, there are others as well, I'm sure, that we could name from around the country who missed it. Harry Brook as well is another one who obviously he's playing in the test, but he would be in the ODI squad if it wasn't for the test. There are a lot of talented white ball batters around, as we know. So I think the test team is probably where there's less talented red ball batters. So I think Abel's probably a bit further up the queue in tests.
So are we now at the stage where we pick our 50 over team based on 20 over performances?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Bravo EC.
It's not ideal.
Well done.
Despite what some people say, batting in you hear on Sky sometimes. Oh, this guy he'll bat like it's a T20 in this 50 over match. And I just think no, he won't. The scoring rate in ODIs and T20 matches is different. It's still quite different. Like T20s and ODIs have got closer over the last 10 years, but there is still it's still a very different art batting in ODIs to T20s. There's a different balance between run scoring and wicket preservation. So it will be interesting to see how players go if they are coming into this series off the back of no 50 over cricket for a couple of years. There will be some guys I'm sure haven't played 50 over cricket since the 2019 Royal London Cup. For example, Luke Wood, who's been picked for this tour, David Payne probably as well. Some of the others, their only 50 over games will be ODIs that have been played since then. So they've made it difficult for themselves.
Reason number 7,452 why the 100 is a stupid idea. Oh dear. Right, do we have any other business, chaps?
I don't think so.
Anything more to discuss from the weird and wonderful world of Somerset? We haven't mentioned anything about the Dragon and the Wyvern this week because there's been no news about it.
Well, did you see Mike Unwin's photograph on Twitter of the Wyvern cap for the Wyvern?
I did, yes.
Hmm.
Contrasted next to the picture of the Dragon cap.
That's right. Yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Which is further.
Well, on that basis, my only other business is why isn't Jake Libby in the England squad then? Because I have to get him into every podcast. So,
Which one?
any of them, all of them.
Test match starts Thursday, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What day was it? Tuesday, yeah. So, I mean, I assume that we kind of expect both Craig and Jack to play.
No.
Well,
Oh,
there's a rumor that Broad is going to be left out and Craig will play, and apparently they do want to play a spinner. So I think we can at least be sure.
I think Jack will play.
Yeah.
I'd be very surprised if Craig gets in.
what ahead of?
Potts will play.
Ooh, you reckon?
He's the new golden boy. Yeah, he's been bigged up everywhere. And I can't see them not playing. I mean, I hear what Dan says. It's very interesting. I hadn't heard that, but after all the fuss there's been about Anderson and Broad, not being taken to the West Indies, and how this was all, they were going to play their best team come what may. I'd be very surprised just imagine how Broad is going to react if he is left out.
This is the fireworks from here. But,
that'd be a great start for the Test series.
Well, they should be playing Jamie Porter. I mean, he blew him away single-handedly in that representative game last week, didn't he?
Yeah. Horses for courses.
Something like that.
On a seeming wicket, Jamie Porter is really, really good because he's sort of half-powered Glenn McGrath. He lands it there and there or thereabouts, ball after ball after ball, and but on the what we hope is going to be a decent Lord's pitch, he's not got enough pace to worry the New Zealanders. I think Craig would be unlucky. I think he's bowled really well this season. He wasn't at his best maybe in the West Indies, but he's really bowled well. But it's when you get a sort of new kid on the block and new management as well, they want to show that they're freshening the whole thing up. And I think Potts is ahead of Big Craig.
Well, from a Somerset perspective, let's just hope that he isn't dragged round the various test matches carrying drinks and water bottles. Let's hope that they're going to take a sensible, pragmatic approach to all the various concussion replacements and whatever it is they need, and they can just pull somebody out of a county game rather than just having them sit twiddling their thumbs for 3 or 4 days. So we got Sussex tomorrow and then Glamorgan on Friday. Then we got a nice little break until the big one, the Gloucesters next Thursday. Right. It's been a lovely episode, guys. Nothing really much to moan about.
Nothing to complain about.
Everything's going swimmingly. Anthony's back to an elevated commentary position. Somerset 3 wins out of 3. Everybody's scoring runs. Everybody's bowling well. Life is good.
It is.
Right. Should we do Monday next week then, guys?
Yep.
I won't be around. I'm on holiday.
Oh, you're on holiday. Where are you going?
I am in Germany for a week, meeting a friend who lives out there.
Very good. Well, enjoy Germany. We'll catch up with you guys next week. And sorry, I'm incredibly tired. The kids have been absolutely winding me up all day. You don't know how easy you've got it at work, but when you're dragging the kids around St Michael's Mount today, I'm absolutely knackered. So apologies for not being on top form tonight, guys. But I'm gonna get an early night, and then we may be going to the whatever company makes Rattler's cider. We'll probably go there tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
For purely medicinal purposes, clearly.
Absolutely. Rightio. It's a bit difficult now because I've got the record button on the laptop to push to stop recording that, and then we can stop recording the podcast and then just carry on chatting. So this is kind of all melunging into one. So this will probably be out for universal consumption. In fact, it is. So for Steve, Dan, and Anthony, all the best to Tom Abell and the boys for the Sussex game and the upcoming games in the Vitality Blast over the next couple of weeks. But we'll catch you next Monday night. Goodbye, everyone.
Cheers.
Well
done, Shep.
Guys.
Well done.